Hi guys, Gavin here from Life Skills. Just an introductory for people who are just joining us and who haven't been with us before. Again, I suppose this is not a parenting podcast or this is not a parenting advice. These is human behavior principles as they apply to ourselves, our teenagers, our children, and that's kind of what we'll be discussing and what we have been discussing for the last while.
Yeah, and we've kind of just finished our monthly theme on confidence as well, and lots of interesting feedback. So thanks again for that. Make sure you're throwing the questions into the DMs or emails or whatever it may be. A very interesting question came back, that the a mother was saying that they really kind of understood the concept and understood the principles behind it, but they wanted to kind of figure out how to apply it to their son. Um, Older son, teenager, struggling with comparisons. He's kind
Yeah.
of coming home saying, "I'm not as intelligent as my friends, etc., and that kind of thing." And you see this all the time about comparisons. So, Gav, do you give us a core insight just into how you combat these comparisons?
Yeah. In a nutshell, comparison equals feedback. What does that mean? It's feedback that the child is not rooted in their highest value.
Okay.
What does that mean? It means that they are importing a societal or a friends group value and they're judging themselves according to that other person's highest value. So the simple analogy, like we did in our first video, it's like the Ferrari or the tractor,
Yeah.
judging him, not knowing that he's a tractor, judging him against the Ferrari, the Mercedes, and them not and just not understanding it. Like that's the real kind of basic
And
analogy.
when you are sorry, we actually said one thing we might do just to keep ourselves on track, Gav. Just decided to
Yeah,
interrupt there. We
I'm
might do
just
a
starting
timer
mine
here.
here.
Do a timer here. I'm going to do a 10-minute timer to see if we keep. So over the next 10 minutes, we're going to kind of delve a little deeper into this section of it. So the compare and comparison. So I
You're getting
suppose,
very strict on me, Stephen.
well, I know sometimes I get kind of carried away and listen to your babbling. It's not having that anymore. Um, so yeah. So I suppose there's something deeper than that. Like what is it telling you when you find yourself, not just like we're not just talking about kids here and that kind of stuff. We're not just talking about teenagers and stuff. Even ourselves, what does it tell you when you find yourself or you see your child comparing themselves with others?
Yeah, so as I said, it's literally feedback. Look at it as feedback. And I don't mean feedback as in, oh, it's a positive way, it's a nice way to frame it. I'm saying it is feedback. The child, the teenager, yourself, when you compare yourself to somebody else and put them on a pedestal and you in a pit, you're getting feedback. Your brain is giving you feedback that you are not rooted in your highest priority, your highest value. You are unconscious of it. You don't know what it is. Therefore, you're looking at somebody and saying, they have this particular trait, I don't have it, or they have more of it than I do, and I just don't have it. I can't see it within myself. It is purely feedback.
Okay. So the solution to this then would be to obviously do a little bit of work on yourself or somebody, whoever your son, and identify the highest values that we spoke about before. And these videos, again, they're on our feed and stuff. So have a look back if you need to. But it is about identifying these highest values. That would be I suppose, would that be one of the solutions anyway?
It would be, but I think might be wise just to just talk about the consequence of leaving that unattended or unfocused on. So if you see comparison and you kind of go, okay, right, okay. Just to briefly state the consequences of leaving that sit there is that in a very real sense, in a very scientific sense, you have reduced the probability that that individual, be it yourself, be it your teenager or your child, you've reduced the probability that they can expand fully into their potential. Why? Because they cannot be disciplined, reliable, and focused. They can only be highly disciplined, highly focused, and highly reliable in the area of their highest value.
Are you saying if this comparison kind of you're saying if it leaves it there, you mean
If you don't deal with it,
yeah,
you
and
don't deal with
you
it.
keep comparing and you keep saying
This
this,
is what's going
living
to
in that.
happen.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. They're not going to have those high levels of self-worth, self-belief, and self-confidence because they are, according to their brain perceives what they're doing as not meaningful. They'll drop into their amygdala
Yeah.
and they're going to, you will live, what they will do, they will spend a lot of their time in survival or systems one and is another way it's described. And just, there's to make this very visceral, there's two main things that this creates. It creates pleasers if you imagine, let's just to be crude about it, a dog, how you train a dog is to kind of give them like, if they're doing something they may not want to do, but you go, oh, well done, you give them a treat. And
Yeah.
suddenly they do the activity for the praise, not the inherent value of the activity. The second thing is you create individuals who seek pleasure in the moment and run from pain in the moment. Another way of saying that is you create hedonism, that hedonistic lifestyle. Pleasure seeking, pain avoiding. Neither of those things are aligned with leading a purposeful, meaningful, fulfilling, intrinsically directed life.
Would you get snippets of satisfaction from it though?
You get momentary pleasures, for example, like, you know what I mean? Let's say the dog gets the treat, you'll get a momentary pleasure. Or like someone tapping you on the back saying, well done, great job. You'll get your dopamine hit from that. But if the problem with that is that because you have, let's call it, you're looking for the praise and you want the praise and you think the praise is good, you're going to be highly fearful of the criticism. So you're then going to be in a state where if you're not getting praise, you're fearful of criticism. So you're effectively, your movement is like this, instead of a forward movement direction. It's a
Okay.
highly unresilient state to be in because you're completely anchored in the external, meaning that you require external validations to make you feel okay. Whereas if you're anchored in your highest value, you don't need external validations because whatever you're doing is intrinsically meaningful. If you get praise, okay, cool, okay, that's great. But if you get criticism, you're like, yeah, okay, cool, I get that, but I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. We
Yeah,
all have
yeah. Because you're driven internally, as you said, there, the intrinsic motivation to do it, that you're getting that dopamine hit. Um, and
it.
and again, you're not, as you said there, you're not fearful of the setbacks or the criticism because you know you're going to be naturally more resilient when it comes to things like that. That's in your kind of highest values.
The easiest way to say it is you embrace pains and pleasures in the pursuit of your purpose. The other way is that you avoid pains and seek pleasures if you're not rooted in that highest value. And if people want to look, this is a real neurological phenomenon. It's not a theory. It's not a sounding nice thing. This is the way our brain works. So it's critical to understand that. And that's kind of why it's a science. It's not a nice to have. It's a need to know.
Yeah. So that would be the solution. I mean, you find yourself comparing with other people, or you see it in your son, your daughter, or your child, whatever may teenager. The reality is highest value. That's the
Yeah,
solution.
absolutely. And I could just make one more point on that, just because just to be very clear on it, and I think this is a beautiful little comparison. People may not have heard these two differentiating words before. We're not saying highest value equals easy life. We're not saying, what we are saying is it's called eustress and distress. In our lowest value, we experience distress, nerves, anxieties, all of those things like fear of going to work the next day. It's distress. In our highest value, when our brain interprets a challenge, it's called eustress. It's actually chemically, we have different responses. It's a real word. Look it up. Use
Yeah,
stress.
I've never
It's not
heard
a
of it.
made up word. It's a real
What's the
word.
word? Say the word again.
Use stress. I think it's EUSE, use stress. It is basically how our brain interprets challenges which are highly meaningful to us, as opposed to distress is when we come across a challenge that we really don't want to deal with at all, and we just want to get out of there. We want to avoid it. So
Hmm.
it's two totally different phenomenons.
Okay, interesting that. Interesting that. But you will have in that, like we said before, you will still have those feelings of nerves and etc. in your highest value, but you're just more likely to take them as a challenge as opposed to being fearful of any kind of.
And you'll have different responses, like
Yeah.
literally different chemicals in the brain will respond to eustress as opposed to distress. It's a it's
Okay.
a real it's a real phenomenon.
I actually am going to look it up after this, but
Do please do.
just to me, and I'll challenge you on that if it's made up word.
I'm sure someone else will here too.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. So again, going into the highest values, we touch on just how to what's on the timer now. Yeah, this
We keep going, run a roll
there's
here.
three
Solutions
minutes.
we're on.
Yeah, so solutions. Give us the solutions then, I suppose.
So the solution for comparison, the only solution for comparison, there's no hacks, there's no anything like that. It is you must root the child, the teenager, yourself in the highest value.
Yeah,
You do that by observing the child, the teenager yourself, observing to see what is most meaningful, look at them. What are they spontaneously inspired to do? How do they spend their energy? If they spend their money, what are they spending their money in? If they're speaking, what do they normally like to speak to you about when they're speaking to their friends? What do they bring the conversation towards?
Mm.
What do they love to learn about? If they pick up a book online, what are they consuming?
And
They're
where are they
consuming
naturally
something.
resilient? Where are they naturally resilient and show this and demonstrate this resilience? Like that's
Like,
another big key
absolutely.
pointer. Yeah.
Absolutely. Where do you see them embrace challenges? Like, and I just simple things like we miss these things. Again, I bring computer games up because not because computer games are good or bad, but just look at again, look at a teenager, yourself, a child playing a computer game. They will sit there not
Mm.
because they're addicted to it, it's
Yeah.
because they're literally trying to solve problems that are meaningful to them. They will sit there, they'll get defeated, they'll come back, they'll get defeated, they'll come back again. They
Yeah.
won't go to the toilet, as we said before. They will keep that isn't they're showing resilience. And we can go into why that is, what meaning are they seeing it? That's a different conversation. But just to observe it.
Yeah, but also the observation you're saying there. So back, like even back to the question we started with, where the mother was saying that their son was saying that they weren't as intelligent as others. It's about showing the parent in this scenario where that child is intelligent and where that child does those things because that child is intelligent in somewhere like just say it's computer games or you'll discover that or maybe it's in a rugby match or football or whatever. That's their intelligence. It might not be sit down and do this where the child is making those comparisons. It's about identifying where they show those areas
I-
they think they're
Absolutely. Absolutely. But let's go drill into that a little bit. So the first thing is, so once the child, and by the way, there's a process, like I've named out a few things. You can do this by observation. If you're skilled at it, you can bring them through a process as well, a 13 question process that literally 100% of the time will identify it 100% of the time. And to give Dr. John DeMartini credit for that, it's his value determination process. Um, but once that's done, the next thing is, as you've just mentioned there, the ice. This is key. So there's three elements to this, and then we're wrapped up. The
yeah.
three elements are is number one,
Guys
like
preempting the old
like yeah,
yeah, the
like
old
like
okay,
we had.
bye
We're on
everybody,
12
we're
minutes. Don't
finished.
worry, we've literally 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
So 2 minutes, 2 minutes, lady. Okay, so once the child is rooted in their highest value, they see where they're most disciplined, reliable, and focused. They see where they're a leader and not a follower. They see where their memory is sharp and not fady. They see where they have a surplus attention order and not deficit attention deficit disorder. Once they see that, then we isolate the thing they were comparing themselves, i.e., intelligence. Now, then what we do is we break the label of intelligence down because intelligence is just a label. But the label is intelligence is made up of actions and inactions that we perceive. We can see them, but unconsciously we kind of just group them together and call them, oh, that's intelligence. But what we do is we break them down. We go, okay, what is the child seeing that he's labeling as intelligent? It could be staying with a problem for a while and figuring it out.
Yeah.
And get them to see, get them to go, show me when you saw this person doing the thing you thought was intelligent and hold them accountable to answering the question. And no, what were they doing? Well, they were staying with something, they were answering a question, someone asked them something, they didn't give up, they thought about it, they looked like they did some mental arithmetic, they came up with a creative solution. Literally write down the actions, A, B, C. What are the actions? Then you'll have it concrete. Are these them? Are these the three actions or inactions that you saw that you're labeled intelligent? Great. Where now did you do those three things because you display everything according to your highest value?
Yeah.
Then we go and we find for the brain, because the brain is unconscious right now as to where they are performing those actions.
Yeah.
So what we do is we go to the highest value and we go, okay, where have you stayed with something for a period of time? Where have you been creative with solving a problem? Where have you stayed with something and came up with that creative solution? Where have you had a moment of genius that no one else really would have had in that
And
moment, a
do
spark
you
of
hold them
genius?
accountable to those answers as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This whole thing is about holding the person accountable. This is not fluffy. This is not, oh, what? This is, no, answer the question. And as I said, this does require a little bit of work, but
Mm.
so does healthy eating. So does
Yeah, no,
enforcing
no.
healthy eating. So
That's
does helping exercise. So does anything that there's a little bit of work involved in it. But at least now you're working with fundamental laws as opposed to hacks or things that you think will work. And
okay.
the last thing to say in this, Steve, is that again, like we always say, look how it works in your life. So see how these principles are working in your life. You kind of go, oh, because when you've integrated yourself, you can then teach it with certainty.
Yeah. And then the solution then, of course, once you find all that would be you are more self-confident, more,
Once,
yeah, have more
sorry, Steve.
self-belief and things. Yeah, so I was going to say self-belief, self-confidence. You'll see yourself, your child, or whatever your team will grow
They
in.
say, absolutely. They say, what does they say? Envy is ignorance.
Yeah.
So that just means, look what that means. Envy is ignorance. Ignorance means that you have missing information. When you're ignorant of something, it means you've missing information. When your brain sees, now I'm talking about when it goes to 20, 30 examples of where you've displayed these actions and inactions, your brain now can't unsee them.
Hmm.
They have now crystallized them. They now have a memory of them. They can say they can no longer deny it. A light has gone on. They can't unsee it. Therefore, they are rooted. That's what we mean when we mean rooted in their highest value. You can't unsee it. And last one point on it, Steve. I'm sorry, we're on 15
Yeah.
minutes. Can I say just the last point on it is the reason why we have to be very specific and break the labels down is that the way we work is that if I said to you, Steve, go outside and find me something out in the yard, you'll be like, what are you talking about? You'd be confused. But if I said, Steve, go out and find me a red pebble, your brain is zoop, laser focused. So when we get yourself, the teenager, the child to go and find these actions, their brain can go and find them. They can isolate them.
Yeah.
But if we just say, go find where you're confident, go find where you're intelligent, it's a label. The brain can't work with it because it's not specific enough. And I
Yeah.
think that's all we can say on that for the
Brilliant.
moment.
Yeah, I think so too. And we will delve a bit deeper into that. But again, we're going to try stay accountable to ourselves and kind of keep the videos just around the 10, 15 minutes, 17 minutes, maybe this one.
16 and a half.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much again for listening. Again, keep the questions coming. We are delighted to answer any questions you may have. And we do, like, we thrive off feedback as well. And we're delighted to do these kind of videos based on
Wrap it up there, Steve. You're at 17 minutes now.
that. See you now, everyone. See you again.
Thanks, guys.